Guys, so Spy X Family season 3. Truthfully, I haven't really seen that many people talk about this series. It's either One Punch Man, My Hero Academia. That's it. I really haven't seen too many people talk about Spy Family. It's honestly one of my favorite series like ever. I really like this series. I've been a fan of the series even before the anime came out. And if you can't tell by today's topic, we're gonna be talking about the sad origin of Loid Forger, how he came to be. It's pretty tragic when you think about it, especially in a grander scale, how stuff like this pretty much happens every day and people can't do anything really to stop it. People try not to do anything to stop it. It's really unfortunate when you think about like in that type of context. Regardless, if you guys like my content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and yeah. Anyways, so Spy Family season 3 so far has been a blast. I've really enjoyed this season so far. It's full of funny and wholesome moments. Also, it's like moments where it has seriousness, such as in episode 3 where we see the origin of Loid Forger revealed. Pretty much how, as a child, we jumped straight into it. As a child, he had a nice, semi-decent relationship with his father, and then he had a good relationship with his mother. He would always go around with his friends playing soldier, like you know how boys would be. They would just go out there, pretend to be soldiers, just play soldier. I did that when I was younger. I would get my little army men and pretend I'm a commander. I think every boy at a young age had something like that. They did something like that with their friends. They would grab toy guns and just pretend to run around, shoot each other. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all done that. But Lloyd's father pretty much discourages this, tells him, hey, you're not meant to be a soldier. Whatever you desire, whatever you think, you shouldn't think like that because war is not good for anyone. War is just kind of stupid. War is essentially pointless. His mother ultimately comforts him, saying, don't worry about that. Gives him money, and Lloyd ultimately lies and says, I'm going to use this money responsibly. But instead, he uses the money to buy a helmet, and he knows his father's going to get mad. That is until one day, pretty much the village his house is at gets bombed by the other country, and that's essentially when he lost his father. He starts to cry. His mother comforts him, and essentially we go through this journey of seeing him, how he everything goes back to normal for just a little while longer. That is until the country invades again, and then war ultimately breaks out. During this point, he's hiding out in the bunker, and then he realizes, oh no, I gotta go get my mom because I need to make sure my mom is okay. That is when he goes and checks and finds out that no, his mother is not, in fact, alive and safe and sound. She's ultimately dead because the bombs that were dropped on by the enemy country or by the other country killed her, and then essentially war is sparked from there on. Ever since then, he pretty much joined the military. He swore revenge on the country. They would take his family, on those animals, as he was forced to call them. So we get to see his journey. We get to see his flashback as he became one of the most dangerous soldiers out there. Yeah, he pretty much lied to join the military because he couldn't join the army at such a young age. They forbade it, but he lied nonetheless, joined the military, killed many people, and like we see his journey as he tries to get some sort of satisfaction, some sort of revenge, thinking everyone I know is dead. That is until one day he comes across his old childhood friends and he talks to them and tells them, oh hey, you guys are alive. I thought you died, whatever. And his friends essentially thought the same thing, that they thought he was dead as well. That is until one day they get sent out to war and they never come back. Lloyd hears about this and he's ultimately distraught, saying, I have essentially no one left. Just when I thought I found everyone, they all died once more. That is when he comes and he's being approached by this organization, Wise, and they offer him a position as a spy. And he doesn't really have any other option but to join. It's like either join us or go to prison because you lied about your age to join the military, and it could be considered a mistrial. It could be considered as a treachery for doing something like that. So he has no other choice but to become a spy agency. And we get to see Lloyd's actions. We get to see his mindset. That the only reason he's joining is because he doesn't ever want to see another child go through what he did ever again. Because as a kid, he knew being a soldier seemed like fun, but as an adult, he realized that war is essentially nothing good, like at all. And like we get to see his journey, like how he becomes from a little boy to this grown adult, and especially throughout this series, it's very much implied that yeah, he had a traumatic past. That's why he's always so protective of Anya, and he tells Anya, "No, you don't really want to be a spy because what I do isn't meant for little kids." Yeah, sure, the cartoons may impact you. They may be saying that yeah, soldiers and spies are really cool, but in reality, it's just not like that. Life is more complicated than good guys with guns, bad guys with evil plans. It's much more complicated to that. So to me, you're seeing his origin, you're seeing his complexity, how he's just a little boy at the end of the day. And I really love the opening of this season because it shows little Loid and it shows little Yor like holding hands with Anya, because at the end of the day they lost their innocence at a very young age. They were forced to commit terrible things. They were forced to do some terrible things. And Loid now as an adult, he, despite him being on this fake dad relationship with his fake daughter Anya, he still forms an attachment to her because he doesn't want to see any other child lose their family again. Yeah, he doesn't really know the origins of Anya too well, but he knows something bad happened about her because he can never discover her background. We don't really know Anya's origin as of yet, but eventually we're probably gonna get it. But to see the development from Loid, to see his backstory, it's really tragic because, like I said at the beginning of this video, stuff like this pretty much happens all the time. Like this stuff happens in a lot of countries, not here in America. It's happened throughout many countries throughout the globe during World War II, during World War One. It's pretty much happened throughout all of history where war will lead you to false promises, and then ultimately you lose your family, and then you're left there fighting, and for what? Just for pity, revenge, just for a country that doesn't really care about you, for an enemy that your government will say, oh, they're the enemy, but in reality, no, they're not. That's how we get to see Frankie. We get to see Frankie and Loid meet for the very first time on different circumstances. One is an enemy, but then Frankie tells him, just because I'm so-and-so your enemy doesn't really mean I'm a bad person. Your country may be telling you I'm the evil ones, but at the same time, look at me. I'm just a normal-ass dude. I don't even want to be here. I'm just forced to be here. So, like, I don't know. It's really interesting just to see how, like, war can change people and how it can affect everyone around them. Just take Loid. He's a perfect example of a child who suffered too much. He's a child who's seen too much for such a young age, and it influenced him to be a completely different person. That's why I really love the origin of Loid Forger, how it's really sad ultimately. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on the origin of Loid, and yeah, I really like the season so far. Hopefully we get more episodes like this because I'm really loving Spy Family. I don't know about you guys. I really like the series. It's really good, and that being said, I'll catch you guys on my next one.